it important that you remember that this is on the level 2 catalyst? No, it is not. The most important thing here is this helps us kind of discuss the different parts of Art Everywhere, things that we've already been doing and things that are new and things that are more relevant for your talking points. And so the first 2 points are new things that are new to you, that you've probably seen around, that you may have even helped on. I see some people in here who helped with one of our installations a few weeks ago. And then at the end, we'll talk about approach, because you're probably thinking, hey Laura, I see art everywhere already. This is not a new concept to me, and you are absolutely right. We do already have collection objects in our transition spaces, in the areas between different galleries, in our Eat Sign, our Jeff Koons Hanging Heart, our Kim Dickey flower wall. And this is something that is obviously very important to us in our mission to get things out of storage, and we are just going to continue that approach and extend upon it in our new 114,000 square feet that we have. So, quick summary there, I've kind of walked you through it, but just to say it again. The top level that is most important is kind of the highlight story, if you will, of Art Everywhere, is the initiative level, which is our new 9 site-specific commissions that kicked off in March 2025. And this is, for those who worked on Catherine Mann's project, this is one of those. This initiative served as a catalyst for thinking about the power of public art and integrating these different aspects of our work into one grand display. And so this work in the initiative level catalyzed considering major new additional site-specific commissions at major points in the museum. So this includes things like the Haas Brothers tree, right? This is a major moment that really grounds you right when you enter the museum. And as I mentioned, approach is just talking about how we extend our display of collection objects. So, that all being said, here's a very scary map that shows you all those different moments where art is being activated across the 3 different levels. So, green are the areas that you're familiar with, the Eat Sign, the Jeff Koons Heart, the grave works on either side, where the bubble was, for example, things like that. Blue is the catalyst level, so those major commissions, those Haas Brothers trees, you see those kind of concentrated, I'm gonna be very careful with this, concentrated in our lobby area. Sorry for those who can't see where I'm pointing online. And then our one here, which we'll talk about very soon. And then the red stars, which are the highlight story for me and what I've been working on most diligently, is our initiative, the suite of new site-specific commissions around the museum. So we have some in our expansion space, and then a lot of activations around our existing campus. And so now we've kind of established generally what Art Everywhere is, but you might be asking yourself now, why? Why does this matter? What is this connection to what we're doing, and why now, and why does this make sense for us and what we're doing? Great question. So this is a new focused public art program at Crystal Bridges that really looks at expanding the role of art across our campus and our surrounding environment. So what is core to Art Everywhere is about access, right? And that is something that is integrated and ingrained in every aspect of what we do. With Art Everywhere, it lowers those barriers for entry. It meets people where they are. It takes art out of what might be considered a intimidating environment, which is something that we all try to break down here at Crystal Bridges. Make art more accessible, not only physically, but also intellectually, thinking about ways that art can be fun and have inspire moments of surprise and delight in areas where we might not think that that's possible. And so we're also, and along that is also about boldness, right? That is one of our, what is it? Is it our theme or one of our driving principles? But we want to think about surprise, those moments of surprise and delight, really inviting artists to explore their practice, and also inviting people to think a little bit more broadly about what art can be. And this is also about diversity of experience. So we have all these different artists exploring works in new ways and really connecting with the public in a different kind of way than they would in a gallery experience. So these moments of surprise and delight are found, the big thing about Art Everywhere is that it is not in just the galleries, it is across, it's everywhere, as the name implies. So these unexpected and unconventional spaces include things like hallways, they include things like stairwells, elevators, bathrooms, interstitial spaces, transitional spaces, reflection spaces, anywhere that is not a gallery, thinking about breaking down those barriers between what is in the gallery and what is where guests can experience it. So that is the core of Art Everywhere. That mission of access is very core to what we do every day and what this program is all about activating. So, Level 1 initiative, I'd like to get us started talking about this. For me, this is the highlight, this is the kind of headline, if you will, of Art Everywhere. This is the newest thing for us. Of course, we've had commissions before. This is a bit of a different program, and I'll talk to you about why that is. And so this story is something that is most important for me to share with guests when you are walking them through and talking about Art Everywhere, because this is so different and such an incredible thing that we're able to offer to our guests and also offer to the artists that we engage with. So this original Art Everywhere initiative was launched in March 2025 through the efforts of our former curator at large, Art and Public Places, Lucas Cowan. Here he identified 9 major areas in which we could think about public art projects that really transform the space in new ways, and also think about the artists that could best activate the conversations that those areas around the museum provide. So these are the 9 women artists. They're all women, which is very exciting that we get to spotlight women artists in this way. And they are across all different areas. So they are in, do the pointer again, in the elevator, in a hallway, a bridge, in a reflection area, in a hallway, in a bathroom, both bathrooms, in a stairwell, and then some that you haven't heard as much about yet, but you will later this year, crosswalks, and also activating a connection at the momentary. All of these women artists are at various stages of their career. They work in various mediums. We have artists like Judith Schechter, who primarily work in stained glass. We have artists like Catherine Mann, who work in collage. We have artists like Theodora Allen, who primarily do paintings, but she's interested in thinking about something different for this program. So one of the other great aspects of the Art Everywhere program is that we are not only inviting a range of artists who work in different styles, but we're also giving them the opportunity to approach projects with a new lens and think about new ways to achieve their goal for the project. So for example, Judith Schechter, we originally approached her about the idea of, crazy idea, but I think maybe one day we'll get back there. Crazy idea of having a light box in the elevator that has a vinyl of her stained glass work. Turns out there's a lot of things that you can't do in those elevators, but maybe we'll find an elevator soon that we can revisit this. When I approached Judith with this idea, she said, "Thank you for thinking of me. I don't do public art, but I appreciate the outreach." And so we went back to her and I said, well, there are some ways that we don't have to do it like that. We could explore some other options. She had worked in light boxes. She didn't really resonate with vinyl on the light boxes, but when we started talking about the idea of using the word wallpaper in the elevators, that idea really resonated with her and gave her something to think about and a way to approach work. And so we're super grateful that she took the leap to work with us and explore her practice in a new way through our program. Another great example of this is Theodora Allen, who, as I mentioned, does these really beautiful paintings that the physical experience is very important of seeing them, because she works in these layers of paint that are then thinned by turpentine, and it gives this kind of different levels of opacity, and really get to see the weave of the weave and the texture of the canvas. And so that's a very difficult thing in where she was, which was where her project is located, which is in the elevator 1 stairwell. We can't have paintings in there, if anyone was wondering. Probably it's not a good place to hang paintings. And so, thinking with Theo, we had her with the idea of maybe she could do a mural on one of these walls, and we could think about her with texture in that way. That didn't really resonate with her, but she liked the idea of thinking about giving the impression of, as a matter of fact, stained glass. So we've worked very carefully with her about finding very high quality companies that can reproduce her paintings on a very high scale, so that with the kind of opacity that allows for light coming in that her work requires. So instead of just putting a mural in one location, we are going to take over that entire stairwell area with window vinyl. So it kind of transforms the entire tower into a light box that gives the appearance of her work and activates it in a new way. So that's been a very exciting part of this program. And one other very exciting thing is that with this new initiative, there are two examples here that we will acquire due to the significance of the investment in the project that's being created. So for 2 artists, Paula Hayes, who we'll talk more about, and Heather Hart, these are major projects that we're asking them to work on, and they are major for our campus and locations on campus. So for that reason, at the level of investment, we are going to be acquiring those into the collection. But for the other 7 artists that are in the program, they are going to be showing their work on a limited term. So this is about 3 to 5 years, but it can also be longer if we really like it and we feel really good about it, which I think we will, because they're incredible women and have created incredible work. And if we need to take it down a little bit sooner, if there's, God forbid, any damage to it, we can revisit that with them. But this limited term gives us more flexibility to explore future projects with more artists, and also think about extending and really giving other artists the chance to work at Crystal Bridges and think about how their work integrates with our experience in our campus. Which leads me to our next point. When we talked with these artists originally, we gave them a very general brief, which was, think about nature, the relationship to the Ozarks, Crystal Bridges' place in its natural environment. This is very broad, and the reason that we were thinking about this prompt specifically is the way in which Art Everywhere allows us to think about the integration of art and architecture, right? So these are all site-specific projects, which are founded in as we know, our architecture is one of our pillars. It's central. It impacts the way we experience Crystal Bridges as a whole. And so when we are placing projects in different areas, they are naturally, our projects in these different areas, they're naturally in conversation with Softy's architecture. And then really wanting to bring in that third pillar of nature, we gave that prompt to the artist so that we are creating this synthesis between those 3 pillars in projects that span across our campus. So when we present this, these are 3 of our wonderful artists exploring Crystal Bridges campus. This is Paula Hayes, enjoying Crystal Spring. This is Catherine Mann on a landscape tour with Samantha Best. And this is June Sakaguchi, who is taking a picture of our Chihuly reeds, but also getting a sense of that beautiful art trail. And so that very broad prompt of nature gave a lot of freedom to explore what this means to them, and they took it in a lot of different areas, a lot of different approaches, which we'll get to see some incredible examples of in a minute. And what we'll also see is that there are some very incredible serendipitous conversations that naturally emerge between projects that we didn't plan for. So a lot of the artists are thinking about similar things, and it provides this nice resonance across these different projects, these different artists that really enrich our experience of Art Everywhere in ways that we didn't expect or plan for. So in my love of the show Extreme Home Makeover, I am going to do an approach where we do kind of move that bus. We won't have to say that, but just to give you a sense of what's to come. So I'd like to show you some of the projects that we've completed so far and give you some information about the artist and also about the specific project. So first, this is the North Exhibition Bridge before. Boo. It's very plain, very empty. This is, just to get you oriented, this is where we have that great graphic of Keith Haring right now, as well as our little focus on the Wyeth family. This leads you into our new, it is called the North Exhibition Bridge, and that is because it leads you into the North Exhibition Gallery. So this was completely blank, it was white. This was actually an area that Moshe Safdie himself identified as wanting some more color and wanting it to be activated a little bit more because it seemed a little like it was wanting something there. And for that, we really wanted to speak with someone, an artist who does color and vibrancy and an immersive experience through her work so well, Miss Shara Hughes. And after. So I think a lot of people haven't seen this yet. So I'm very excited for when the expansion opens this weekend so you can really spend some time in here. This is a mural. This wall is about 40 feet long. And so really made very good use of it. This is Valley of Water. It was completed between the end of 2025 and the beginning of 2026. With an oil enamel paint. It does still smell a little bit like paint. We hope it's been several months. Maybe one day it'll go away. But right now you can really smell that paint when you walk through. And there's a reason for that, which is that Shara works in these thick, expressive layers. So she is an intuitive painter, which means that whenever she approaches a new project, she doesn't approach a canvas with a plan. She comes with, approaches it, the blank canvas, and she lets her natural feelings and thoughts at the time kind of emerge, however they do, on the canvas. And so, for Valley of Water, what she's thinking about at this time is the experience of the passage of time. So she creates this over the changing of one year to the next. So she's really thinking about the possibility of new beginnings. She's thinking about, the title refers to like the movement of glaciers and how they cut across landscapes and they can create divots of water that provide the opportunity to support new plant life. And so the emergence of new life from enriching these environments and really creating these lush landscapes that almost feel that you can walk into them. This color, this vibrancy is very much a part of all the work that she does, and we think that it fills the space so well and really feels that you're traversing that landscape. For this work, this gives you a little insider baseball into public art projects. Originally, Shara, who is not new to public art, she's done a number of projects before. For this work, she created the original painting on a 50 by 200 inch canvas. And from there, she shared the high-res images with a company called Overall Murals out of Brooklyn. They've worked with her before, so we felt very good about their skill set, what they could offer. And from there, you might not believe me, but they went and they had charcoal sheets and they marked out every single line, every single piece of the original canvas. So although this looks like Shara herself came and painted this directly on the wall, it is in fact the work of a team of about four to five different people working over about a week to realize this, mixing over 40 colors, marking every single frond, every single radiation of the sun, and capturing Shara's really emotive and expressive brushstroke style in this space. And we think that they've done an incredible job. If you see the painting, they have really stayed true to Shara's approach. But at the same time, there's also a nice connection there, in that they themselves are interpreting and letting their own feelings kind of emerge onto our wall as they translate her work.
So they painted on that wall?
Yes.
Laura,
Yeah.
this is just on the east side, isn't it? This photograph makes it look like it's on both sides.
So this is, it's a very large wall, which makes it very difficult to get one picture. So
Yeah.
it is just in that one hallway, that leads from Upper North Link to the new gallery.
I have a question.
Please.
Those windows above, they look louvered. Do they move? Do the louvers?
Yeah.
So there's no, it is a railing, so there's nothing on the inside.
No, I'm talking about all the way at the top. There's light coming through.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's right on the outside.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yes, it's kind of an interesting space where it's located.
Yeah.
So the doing painting that's in Gallery 6, the Rose Garden.
Yeah.
That's something printed on vinyl that's on the wall.
That is correct.
Why would they have done that with this?
Because the act of the kind of expressive nature of her brushstroke is very important to the story that she's telling in the painting. So they've worked with her on these projects before, so they knew that they could capture it accurately and in a way that fits with the intention of her painting. And so that was always an option, of course. It would have been a lot easier. It would have been a lot more expedient, and it wouldn't cause an oil paint smell, but to really honor Cher's intention of the work. And it's really hard to capture the vibrancy of these colors if you're not mixing them on site and applying them to the wall. Any other questions? Yeah.
Will the paint smell be contained before the opening, because we have guests that are sensitive?
It is not, great question. It is not, it was at a time very overwhelming, since now there is more movement through the space and it remains open more. We expect it's at a much lower level than it originally was, so it has gotten more air, and we expect that it'll continue to air out. And since it is essentially a passageway that will now be open on both sides, we expect that process to diminish the smell will continue.
Will the original painting be in the gallery?
Great question. So that was something that was an opportunity that was offered to us, and we love this painting. We love Valley of Water, and we are so thrilled that this is a part of Crystal Bridge's history and our Everywhere program. And so while we are not going to show Valley of Water in our galleries right now, we are very interested in Shara as an artist and want to find another way that when this mural goes down in 5-ish years, that we can have another representation of her work to share with our guests. Yes?
Well, it could be over at the momentary.
It could.
She works large scale.
Yeah, so it is, it's a big painting. We don't, so another thing is that we don't own the painting. She gave us through Sheridan's rights, we have the rights to create it on this scale. So we would have to purchase the painting separately. Great. All right. Let's move on. Oh, actually, I think we might have, so our next extreme home makeover moment. One that I think a lot of you have seen, or maybe have seen in part. These are our 11 and A9 elevators. I didn't have a great picture of the approach here, but the A9 elevator is the one that is you can find it either at the end of our new exhibition gallery or at the end of our learning and engagement hub. So this is before, and this is after. I love that comment, thank you. So So this is Judith Schachter. This is the artist that we talked about in the beginning who was a little apprehensive about the opportunity to pursue public art, but with some conversations, we were able to identify a solution that she is really happy with. And so this is an opportunity to talk about how different artists kind of approach the very general prompt that we gave them. Well, Shara was, I should say too, that all of the artists did come here for a site visit. I think you could see that from the pictures, but they all came here to get a sense of their site, but also to take inspiration from the Ozarks and the environment around them to kind of inform their thinking on the project. For Judith, she takes this in a different way. So for Judith, as we mentioned, really known for her stained glass, but she is an incredible drawer, and she has these fantastical butterflies and moths that she creates, these beautiful layered and detailed creatures that emerge from her own imagination. And when we were talking about this wallpaper, we originally were just going to go with this night version, if you will. But being the overachiever that she is, she wanted to make sure that we had a day version as well. And so for Judith, she thought a lot about the experience of the elevator itself in this project. So this is an enclosed space, right? This is an area in which it's really just about a means to an end. We want to get into the elevator, we don't want to be in there very long. We might be a little scared about what could happen in the elevator, but Judith wants to take this opportunity for pause and this passage and allow it to serve as a moment for a pause, for a reflection and thinking about all the small details in the world around us. So all the beautiful details in every single insect and every single moth and butterfly that you see throughout, and how they flow together and how they have some similarities but also are very different from each other. And I will also share another story that was very important to Judith as she was creating, as it's very meaningful to her, and I think it really also helps to support your understanding of this work, is that in working with Judith during our time, she went through the process of losing her father, and at the time that we were talking, he was in hospice, and so it was she knew that his that it was to be expected, but it was a very hard loss nonetheless. She described an experience following his passing where she went outside the hospice center and she found a park that she had never seen before in the area around the center. And as she was sitting in that park, she found herself surrounded by butterflies. And this moment after her father's passing, and it was a very touching moment, to think about those small, meaningful moments in life, and really appreciating those moments whenever you have a chance. And so we love what she's done with these elevators, and we've had some, it was a little bit of process to get them all installed, but they are all now completely installed. They look beautiful. And we have for anyone who's wondering, we do have the label on the inside of each cab.
Laura, so you said that she doesn't do public art.
Yes.
This is art in a museum. So how do we define
Sure.
public art in an art museum?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when we're thinking about public art in an art museum, we're thinking about like outside a gallery space. So outside of, instead of it being in just, we recently acquired a major work by her that will be featured in an exhibition in one of the Gallery 5 boxes. And so that is like a traditional gallery experience. We don't traditionally have artists that are showing exclusively in our elevators or in our bathrooms or hallways. I'm trying to change that. But, so that's the reason that we're thinking about these as separate experiences.
So if I was in the lower lobby or in other places that are outside the gallery.
Yeah.
This is a really focused initiative.
Yeah, so that's a great point. Something we will I'll talk more about in a minute. So you're absolutely right in that This is something we've already done, and we're have collection objects out and about in different transitional areas. And with our expanded spaces, we want to continue that, and we want to get more objects out of storage, of course. And so that is definitely still a part of Art Everywhere. And these new commissions that we're talking about are new in that they are, many of them are not part of the collection, and they are, this commission process and working with the artists for this limited time engagement is a new initiative that we haven't done on this scale before. Absolutely. Great. So our next reveal, this is reflection 3 before. This is, we couldn't get a great photo of like Glass Bridge before the orb before it was completed. But this kind of gives you a sense of what that vista looks like. And now we have Paula Hayes, Caves and Mines. This is one of the major works that we are acquiring into our collection, and this is also because too it is a major installation at a kind of a decision point in our museum, which we'll talk about with the second level. Paula Hayes, I think some of you might be familiar with her, and her she was an artist in cross-pollination. You might have done a workshop with her where you created a gnome. We're trying to get her back to make more gnomes soon. Paula Hayes is an artist who thinks a lot about the relationship between humans and the natural environment. She's thinking a lot, some of her early work looks at the relationship as humans as a steward of like her living sculptures. These are works that have actual plants in them. Some of that work required like a contract between her and the museum to ensure the care for that living work. This does not have any living plant or living material in it. These are a kind of an extension of that theme, which are crystal terrariums across this wall. This is a project that has a lot of different themes that we can chat about. Going back to Paula's driving mission and kind of what drives a lot of her work is that connection between us and the natural environment. So she thinks a lot about how crystals are our relationship to crystals. So our bodies are built on crystalline structures. We generate certain minerals ourselves. She thinks of crystals as the miraculous transmutation of life, actually. And so this kind of connection, this relationship that we have with crystals is something that is both very, very prehistoric and ancestral, but there's also, as you can see here, something that is otherworldly and kind of cosmic about our connection with our different levels of our environment and thinking about our connection to the world and with the cosmos. And here, Paula was very inspired for this work. She's very enamored. She loves crystal bridges. She's very enamored with the area. She was very inspired during her site visit with our little crystal grotto area that is on our art trail. Some of you might have known that. Also our name, also our Holy Grail. And so she was really inspired by Arkansas as a natural state and wanted to integrate a lot of that natural material into whatever project that she created. In this particular terrarium, you see a lot of quartz. This is all Arkansas quartz that we will talk a little bit about in a minute of how we got there. And some wavellite in this green. She also wanted to make sure that this felt connected to, there's some other specimens here that connect to our region, this peacock ore in the middle, and also some specimens that are from all around America and America's natural history. There is a little piece of aquamarine in that terrarium, which this is a little note for you all that is the same. It's a piece off the same specimen that you see in Gallery 2 in Visions. It broke off. We learned later that it had broken off. And lucky enough, we had an artist working on an incredible commission with crystals and minerals. And so it was a natural connection and allowed us to create a nice line throughout the galleries to this point. So here, Paula is thinking a lot about that connection. These are cast fiberglass shelves When you see them in person, they have this very interesting finish on them. They were finished by hand, that is kind of ice-like, that is kind of fossil-like. She's thinking about this connection on a few different levels. She's also thinking about this process of evolution over time. So you see this kind of like the fossil, the melting of ice. You can't really get a sense of it here, but she has other pieces she wanted to leave other aspects of the process of the process of making visible. So you will see close up when you go visit. Some screws that are around the shelves. She also wanted to leave the mounts that are around the crystal a little bit more visible. She wants that process of creation. The people who were actually physically creating this work, like he left, but Landon Perkins, our associate exhibition designer, like Trisha Parker, our mount maker, like Laura Pratt and Anna Robertson, who helped her pick up many of these minerals. We, in addition to a site visit to Crystal Bridges, we went with Paula to Mount Ida, Arkansas, to visit Avant Mining, and we were able to go. These are mines. It's not a cave, if you were wondering. It is just a big field of all the quartz. You just walk up, and it is in the ground, and you can pick it up and take it with you. We were also the beneficiaries of a very generous set of donations from James Zegras, who is the owner of Avant Mining, who provided a lot of the really spectacular minerals that you see here. This peacock ore in the middle, this chalcopyrite, this fluoride. But we also had, again, some more support from some of our best supporters of all. These two at the top are calcite from Alice's collection that she very generously donated for the purposes of this project. The last kind of connection that I want to point out, thinking about all the effort of different people coming together in one work, is this Herkimer diamond that is on the shelf here. This is a 50 million year old diamond that comes from a very specific part of the country, which is where Paula's family actually has land. She found this in the process of us working on this project and knew instantly that she wanted this part of her heritage, that, you know, this kind of cosmic origin, but also something that's very old, to be a part of this major endeavor that she's creating here. So you can see the minerals and the terrariums are very important. They're central to this piece, but also the lighting is incredibly important. This was a major endeavor with our Alyssa Barani, our lighting technician, to really get that right, to spotlight these minerals and terrariums in the correct way, but also to provide an experience, that there is something immersive when you approach caves and mines that takes you to a different place, something that's more meditative. This isn't a reflection space, and she wanted this to provide an opportunity for close looking, to slow down, to really reflect on these and do some close looking at all these amazing specimens that we have. Also think about our connection to place, not only as Crystal Bridges, but Arkansas, also to the America, also to the earth in general. To think a little bit more about those different levels of connection with our natural world. And it fits so well, this is the last thing I'll say, it fits very well where it is in this area, because it has that, it's kind of bookended by two major moments. This Holy Grail in Gallery 3 on the glass bridge, the War Bridge, this major monument and celebration of Arkansas's natural resources, this monument of quartz and what our state can provide. And it's on the other side, we have in Gallery 4, the David Booth Gallery, contemporary, we have these conversations about our place in the universe, right? Our kind of cosmic connection, our place being in with other people, but also in a more cosmic sense of where we're situated. So it's kind of perfectly placed and transitioning from one place to the next in this reflection area. Yes?
Are those pieces mounted on there so that they can be?
Correct. Great question.
And we say it's all Arkansas stuff, but if Paul found it on her family land.
Yeah, so a lot of the minerals that you see inside the terrariums are sourced from Arkansas. So almost entirely these are sourced from Arkansas. The places where you'll see specimens from other areas are the larger specimens, and then that little piece of aquamarine. So she's foregrounding Arkansas collected specimens, but there are everything that you see here is from America. So that's kind of and we're spotlighting very strongly Arkansas minerals in this, and also from the region.
Can you touch that fiberglass? I mean, so much of this is in a place where I want to feel how smooth it is.
I understand, and I completely understand that impulse. Please do not. But I completely understand, and I appreciate and understand where you're coming from.
We can touch the butterflies in the elevator, but that's about it.
Correct. You can touch the paint, not too hard. We won't get hurt. All right.
Where's the label for this?
Great question. This is on. So if I am the wall, it is right in front of me on one of the right over the top of one of the benches that is across from the work. And here is our exploration.
And that's not going to be permanent?
So this is permanent. This is one of the two that we are acquiring into the collection, and this will stay long term.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so these are the lower lobby bathrooms before. Sorry that a little dirty in some of these. Please don't mind that, because your mind's about to be blown by what is now in there. So these are works by the artist Liz Nielsen. What we're looking at now are the works that are in the men's bathroom. So you'll get to see all of them here, and very exciting opportunity. So Liz is a fascinating artist in that she has pioneered a very unique way of creating her work. She essentially, the way she kind of describes it as creating photographs without a camera. She has this process where she prints directly onto a film called Fujiclear, which is kind of the film that you get on the inside of a camera. Her process is, so she's not going out and snapping images. What she's doing is working in she takes these kind of abstracted shapes that speak to the narrative that she wants to create, and she then goes to the darkroom. She works in complete darkness, and she will, with this incredible mind for science and mathematics and thinking about all the different wavelengths, she has this beautiful kind of choreography in this darkened room by herself to layer all these different exposures on top of each other. She carefully calculates what it will take to get this color, what it will take to get this gradient, how I can position these different shapes in relationship to each other. It's a bit like printmaking. It's iterative, so you can create the different layers to create the final composition. So for Liz, she lives in the Catskill Mountains of New York, and when she came here, she was very inspired by how the connections with the Ozarks, the visual similarities between the landscapes, the hills, the trees, the different, this is the women's bathroom now. The natural environment, and how those mirror each other in the different settings. She was also, as you can probably take a guess, she was also very inspired by the story of kindred spirits, and that kind of bridge between our two areas. So when she's thinking about this, she is creating these compositions that are of place, but are a little bit of their own time and their own space. They have this beautiful kind of self-lit quality. So this is in the material itself. It's not like a vinyl. It's not like something that can be scraped off. It is printed to this piece itself. To give you the, sorry?
Is the piece glass
It's not glass, it's plexi.
and it's printed on that?
Is the Fuji, the film,
Mhm.
then mounted on a plexi, or is the, oh, okay.
Yes.
And then it has a frame around it?
So it has a, like a bracket at the top. It's not, yeah, to be attached to the wall.
Excuse me, given where it's located, are those washable?
So they're easily wiped down. And, great question, they are easily wiped down. You're not able to wipe or affect the image in any way. They are also high enough up that you have to really want to cause mischief, if you want to get to them. A quick note, we'll go back to see those pictures in a minute, but just to give you a sense of that it is the material itself. This really gives when you shine the light through it, these are in the dark bathroom with cell phone light, that you can see that it gives the impression of stained glass almost. So she is really carefully thinking about the colors and how, I mean, if you see it, and we'll have to do this on a very special tour after hours, everybody makes an agreement that we're okay going into other bathrooms to see this, because you really get a sense of just the layers that Liz creates, the vibrancy of the colors. You can see all that detail that she builds up. I will say, please be careful if you're trying to turn off the lights on a tour. If you turn off the lights in one bathroom, it will turn off the lights in all the bathrooms. I learned that the hard way. Yeah, it's kind of, it's not necessarily like on the back, it's a bit here.
So it's sandwiched between two pieces of plexi. So she's printing on the Fuji clear, and then to preserve it, it's mounted between these two pieces.
Be a great cocktail tour.
Yes.
The artist about doing this particular installation, does she mind if we're going to be in the bathrooms?
Great question. Thank you very much for bringing that up.
Because I think I might.
Yeah, and so this is something we had to approach very carefully, because you bring up a good point in that that's kind of like it's an interesting conversation to have, to go up and like, hey, we got this great public art project, how would you like to be in the bathrooms? However, Liz is just, has a long history of public art, and she is shown in a lot of different places. She's currently working on a kind of glass project like this in a cathedral. She's done prints in the MTA and the subway system. So she has experience working in a number of different spaces. Of course, nonetheless, we had to be careful, because putting art in bathrooms was not on her resume when we approached her. But she was excited about the challenge to think about a work that could work for the space and that could really fit and make sense and be safe. Two, there's a big selling point to these bathrooms specifically, which is that for a very large portion of our audience, this is their first stop. This is the first place that they go. So you get kind of untold levels of visibility for your work if you decide to agree to go to the bathrooms.
Will she receive recognition? Is there a tombstone?
Yes. There are tombstones in the women's bathroom, the men's bathroom, and in both the gender neutral bathroom. There is a label in both the men's and women's.
They're memorable.
They are memorable. And so one thing I wanted to point out is that these are not all individually, but these are all part of like one narrative. It's all connecting across the top. It's kind of a story that you can, while you're in there, you can appreciate and kind of explore these abstracted landscapes and these beautiful washes of color. And take, again, with the kind of connection to Judith, take that moment of pause and really appreciate all the places in which you can find art.
In the dark.
For the gender neutral bathrooms, we did something a little different because we did not have the same kind of composition area-wise here. We created, these are very large light boxes. So the process of printing is very similar. It is then lit from behind. And these are, this is a theme that emerges often in her work, this kind of portal, so this kind of transformation and stepping into a new world and, you know, taking that step into a different space. She is kind of connected to stone arches and Eastern philosophy, but also she's very interested in like the possibilities of all the different shapes and colors she's able to accomplish with this type of shape. So these are, this one is in the left side, this one is in the right side. That is correct. And so really quickly, I will point out that in the men's and women's bathrooms, this one is in the accessible stall, so you can see that it is a bit larger to fit that space and continue that composition across the entire side of the bathroom. Great. Okay, so one that a lot of you might be a little more familiar with is lower lobby hallway. And so this is what it looked like before. It's hard to believe that this is what it looked like before because I've been so into it, but this is how it looks now. This is the work of Catherine Zulon Mann. I think many of you met her while she was on site, got the chance to work with her. She is phenomenal. She does a lot of thinking about the relationships between different cultural influences on her life. She comes from, her family is Taiwanese betel nut farmers, but she pulls a lot of influence from Chinese folk art and also thinks about she moved around a lot as a child, so she thinks about all these different natural landscapes that she has encountered and thinks about different understandings of landscape and natural environments and combines them with this beautiful synthesis into this very lush landscape of all of these different influences into something that's it's completely unique but very beautiful and layered. She works with a few different mediums here, so you can see she starts with, I don't know if I have a good picture here, but when she's doing a painting, she starts every painting with a spill of sumi ink, which is an Eastern artistic technique that you use with like a specific brush. So she starts the process with spilling that, and she is leaving her work open to chance and happenstance, and allows that to drive the composition that she creates. From there, she uses her She uses her skills of paper cutting here to create layers of different flora and different flora from her background, as well as the backgrounds of the area in which she's creating the project. So you can see that there is some beautiful layered flowers here. You can see that this is paper cut. She also does layers of drawing and paint on top of this. So it becomes a very textured, very rich, very maximalist landscape, this kind of lush garden that you get to enter. It's a tunnel, and you get to enter this own immersive tunnel, this portal into a different area. So a couple things to point out. I hope some of you got the opportunity to take advantage of our bat making workshop when it was here in our studio. She loved and very greatly appreciated those bats, and you can see them flying across the corridor here. And you might be wondering, what is the deal with the bats? And so this is a part of that synthesis that is so integral to Catherine's work. So from our perspective in the Western world, we think about them we associate them with horror movies. We associate them as disease carriers, as something negative. And in Catherine's background of Chinese folk art, and they're associated with happiness, with fortune, with good tidings. And these are, she gave us a story about how in her own mother's house, she was able to find like tins of like 20 or so bats and all the different decorative parts of her household goods that really speak to just how integral that symbolism is for their culture. And so here she really, she's thinking too about really wanting to challenge that notion of, and, you know, play with that, and also wants to honor the fact that the Ozarks are one of the largest areas for bat diversity in the world, I believe. Just the sheer number of species of bats that we have in our own backyard. So she wants to, you know, make that connection and really think about the incredible biodiversity that we have. And here, in continuing that kind of synthesis, that combination in her own signature style of the paper cuts and the mosaic and the painting, she did a number of different plants that can be found on the Crystal Bridges campus. This is taken, I showed you that picture of her taking a tour with Samantha Best, and this was actually taken from, she took great notes and was able to build those into different mosaic tondos that now line the hallway. It's a little difficult to see because of how layered they are from this picture, but you can see they're at the top here. And so they make up, I will give you, so this is clockwise from left to right. There will be a diagram forthcoming because we want to make sure everyone is able to point out all of that rich flora on our own campus. So to start, we have pawpaw, Ozark chinkapin, redbud leaf, milkweed, magnolia, chinkapin oak, redbud blossoms, Christmas fern, persimmon, you might remember that, northern sea oats, and kudzu. Oh, okay. What? I mean, I understand, I'm a southerner, I do get it, but the ooh of the crowd, I don't know what I was expecting that. But she took those different plants that she encountered and even if it's very ugly kudzu, made something very beautiful out of that honors our place in the world here. And while we're here, I just want to again extend such a massive thank you to everyone who contributed to this work. This was a massive community effort. It would not have been possible without the support of the volunteers. And it came out so beautifully, and I just cannot share how grateful I am that you took the time to support this very incredible project, and she could not be happier with how the work came together. Yes?
I would like you to share with Catherine the comments that I had from guests. I did several tours, and she was on site doing the work, and she talked to the guests, and what an impression it made on the guests.
Yeah.
So that was the highlight of their visit to Crystal Bridges. So you could share that.
Of course, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that. Yes?
And one of the comments, the shells are actually the shells that her children collected,
That is correct.
visiting our table.
What did she say?
That is correct. So she was saying that on some of the tondos there are elements of found pieces from different aspects of her life. One that she mentioned that is great to point out is that on, I think it's the one kind of in the middle here, the biggest one that's on the middle of this side, there are seashells that she collected with her children during a family visit that she incorporated into the kind of frame that you see around the tondo. There's a lot to see in this work and a lot of different layers that you can. Yes.
Is there any kind of a protective surface on the final art so that if that's gonna get touched?
That's fine. She's okay with that.
But I'm just wondering, has that been addressed at all?
Yes. So she has, First and first, she understands that this is a very public area. She understands that people will bump against it. The installation process took that into account and thinking about how she can really support that. So in addition to the wallpaper paste on there, reinforcing it with nails was a big part, making sure that that is flat. Also, there is a matte medium that is applied over the top of the work that provides additional protection from any smearing or pitching. Approved by the fire marshal. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Everybody get that on record. Take that in your notes. Yes. Tondos. Yeah. Tondo. Okay. Any other questions? Wonderful. And here is just a shot of the process. A lot of ladders, a lot of nails, a lot of paste. Thank you all again. It could not have been done without the support of our volunteers.
Laura, this is 3 to 5 years also?
Yes, I think it'll veer more towards the 5 plus, and so another part of that program is, our thinking about the program is that we can have it up as long as we would like, as long as it looks good, and we are in love with that. We have ways to protect it and reinforce it for years, as we know is a major undertaking, so it'll veer on the longer side.
It is a darker hallway now with that on there. Is there any chance to lighten it up a little more?
That is something we can think about in the future. I think we just have to be very mindful of how all the wattage comes together.
Yeah.
There's certain stipulations around that. Okay. Yeah, be sure to take a look for your bat. Not every bat made it in, but a whole lot of bats did. So I found my bat, so that was on the first day, which is very exciting. Okay. So there are a couple others that are coming later this year to keep the excitement going, to keep the energy of Art Everywhere moving throughout our anniversary year, that mission of access and boldness and thinking about ways to really enrich the guest experience will continue. Although I'll talk a little bit about the one that is coming this month, which is, I kind of mentioned her earlier, Theodora Allen, in the Elevator 1 stairwell. She has previously not done work in vinyl. She's previously done these beautiful paintings. This is actually the one that'll be recreated on our window tower. And so we've thought very carefully about ways to create that, really get that sense of that kind of glow that you can even see on the screen in a physical space. And so she will actually be here on site tomorrow to take a look at some of the materials. The one thing that I will have more talking points as we complete the project, but one thing I will say, this is a part of her Shooting Star series. She does a lot with this kind of motif of falling stars and the kind of, she has different things that she puts like in the hands here. Here is an apple blossom, which is connected to our state's flower. And this is kind of, it trails throughout the intention is that it'll trail throughout the entire stairwell. And it kind of leads, the comet falls and lands at the moment that you enter Crystal Bridges. And it plants this kind of monument to place and our place in the Ozarks, but also provides like, this is where you start, this is where your journey with Crystal Bridges, this opportunity for exploration and possibility begins as the comet lands. Coming later this fall, I don't want to give any spoilers just yet, so I've just shown you some locations of where Art Everywhere projects will go. This is in the South Corridor bathrooms, so the bathrooms that are closest to the Great Hall will be taken over by June Sakaguchi. There are 2 crosswalks that will be transformed by Caledonia Curry Swoon. This one, and also the one that's a connector between HWHI and Orchard Trail. These roads will be repaved in the coming months, so this only natural that we kick that project to after the new finishing. And then one that is a bit further afield, but still very much a part of this program and a part of our work, is Heather Hart. And she will be creating one of her projects on the, and I'm going to get it wrong, but it's about right here on the momentary Burma. Oops. Okay, so that's kind of the headline of Art Everywhere, if you will, this major initiative, 9 women artists, incredible span of works, career, and approaches. And then from that, this opens up our conversation about it serving as a catalyst for other major site-specific commission projects. So these major site-specific commissions were inspired by the incredible work that we were seeing from those artists, the importance of the integration of art, architecture, and nature all in one project was very interesting, and we wanted to think about ways that we could have even more major moments at these central decision points throughout the museum through other major commission projects. So there are 3 that we'll chat briefly about, and throughout these 3, you'll see that this was also kind of naturally emerged. It wasn't a call or organized as one sweeping effort, but these 3 projects all focus on the nature of the Ozarks and the natural environment, as well as histories of the region, and also crystal bridges. And here is an install shot of one of the works, and this is a little bit of a concept drawing for the tree. So, as many of you have seen, I'm sure, we have a new commission from the Haas brothers. This is a persimmon tree. This is the largest work that they have attempted to date. This is, I'm sure you've seen as you walked by, it's composed of bronze, Venetian glass beads that were specially put out for the purposes of this project, and these hand-blown glass persimmons that will be lit from the inside. This beautiful color palette of orange and purple, and also some green from the patina of the bronze. The Haas brothers are known for their kind of merging of the worlds of art and design. They create these very imaginative and uncanny and experimental kinds of worlds. If you see more of their work, you'll see some like critters, some like little alien type things. They are, very imaginative and really look to explore the possibilities of their creations. And here they are thinking about a feature of our own campus for symmetry, which you can find on our trails and grounds. And they really wanted that connection to our campus and the Ozarks to be foregrounded in their own style. Here too, they had originally kicked around the idea of an Osage orange, which I know a lot of people didn't really resonate because it is horse apple, crab apple, what is it? Thank you. And then there was also an inspiring moment between one of the artists, their actual brothers, Nikki and Simon, where Tom Walton had actually invited Nikki to a persimmon seed spitting contest. And this really kind of captured his imagination, and he really focused him in on the type of fruit that would make the most sense for this project. As I mentioned, this is the largest tree that they've done to date, but previously, this is not the first fruit tree. The first one was actually, I think, maybe a third of this size, but it was a strawberry tree in Miami. So something that they've been familiar with. Is there anything you'd like to add about the tree?
I think it's important also to talk about the culture of the persimmon tree. Persimmons are in folklore often predict the weather. When persimmons ripen, you can pull them off the tree and open them up, and the shape of the seed will determine the quality of the winter. If it's in the shape of a spoon, it will snow. But I think that's a really interesting part of folklore and within the Ozarks that gets preserved by this tree.
And so this is, oh, sorry, please.
That's the hard question.
Go ahead.
This sustained substantial damage in the project.
Correct.
What is the plan?
Right, so this is, we're going to take a good look at engineering these. We want to make sure that we have the best result for us and for the brothers to realize their vision for the project. We will be de-installing the work, and we will be working with them to really think about the engineering and the process to make sure that we come up with the best solution. So that will be forthcoming, to be determined on the timeline for reinstallation. But
A second one, which you're going to have to do with all the damage. But second question on that, then, do you have a different piece of sculpture to put in the lobster for this weekend?
not for this weekend. I'm not sure the extent of which this will be de-installed by the weekend, so we'll have to investigate. But these types of reevaluations in the laser are not unique to openings and to major projects that we're undertaking. So this is just part of the process when you're doing something as big and on the scale that we are.
So, it's coming down?
Pardon?
Weren't they putting it up over the weekend?
They were working on it, so they're taking parts of it down. They were first kind of evaluating whether it was able to continue, but they have decided to halt installation, and they will begin de-installing.
So what happened?
I can't. There were some concerns about the weight and the distribution. This is just something that to make the best product that we will just have to revisit with the brothers and work more closely with our engineering partners.
Well, kids could climb it with it on the ground.
There will be a kind of circular millwork around it, so providing space for guests to sit and to consider and rest, as the case may be, either before or after starting their journey. This kind of primes people for curiosity and exploration right at the outset or at the end of their journey. It also provides a nice connection to our first art tree that you encounter in the teardrop, the Roxy Payne Yield. So you get different levels of trees as you descend. There's also the apple blossom tree in the circle.
As somebody who works in the lobby a lot, I'm scared to death to walk over that thing again.
It's
There's no structure, it is hollow.
yes. There's no risk of anything additional falling at this point. Okay.
But as they recreate it, there's got to be some kind of internal structure.
Yes.
Something.
There is. Yes. Not to worry. Yes, there is internal structure here, not listed in the materials, but there is internal structure that will support its weight. That is one thing that they're looking close at. Okay. Another major moment in the main lobby is on the wall that you approach when you exit the elevators or descend from the stairs. This is Kay Rosen's reflection. So if anyone I know we have some people who've been here a very long time, you might remember this ad. This announced the museum's grand opening back in spring of 2011. The museum originally commissioned artist Kay Rosen to create this full-page advertisement that would announce Crystal Bridge's opening in November of that year. She received a major charge in that to create something that is visually powerful and legible and can be reproduced in a newspaper, and also one that can succinctly capture the Crystal Bridge's mission and their aim, this new museum's goal in such a limited, in such a limited avenue. And so from there, Kay created Reflection. She took inspiration from the green of all the forests surrounding the museum. She took inspiration from the blue from the Crystal Pond, and she spent a lot of time thinking about the goals of this museum to open up, to provide art experiences for everyone, to bring the community in, to make this powerful transformative experience. And so she's thinking about the connection between the individual and the collective, reflected in the water of the Crystal Pond. Kay Rosen is an artist that does a lot with wordplay and explorations of text through manipulations of size and font and shape and color. And she was, in many ways, kind of the perfect person to take on this charge, to create something that really thinks about our mission to welcome all to experience, to celebrate the American spirit, and integrates our natural environment in such a legible and immediately recognizable way. There's also some resonance too with our original color palette of that blue and green. So this was originally a newspaper advertisement, as you can see, full page ad in the New York Times. And 15 years on, we are having another major moment, another major milestone in opening our expansion. And so we wanted to think about ways that we could pay tribute to this moment of our history, where we've worked with the artists to, as we turn the page into new opportunities and new ways of sharing our collection and our mission. And we worked with Kay to create a version of Reflection that accounted for the vents and accounted for the shape of our wall to be scaled up properly. And she was overjoyed to be a part of this moment again, as we take a next step in our history. And she was so thrilled to see how this turned out. And so there is, for the interpretation on this side of the wall, there is a panel that also includes a picture of the newspaper. So anytime that you have a visual reference, that's right available there. And this just provides, it was just a big, I don't have my extreme home makeover slide here, but it was just a plain white wall that now gets activated with this powerful symbol of Crystal Bridge's aim and mission that still rings true to us 15 years from our beginning. Coming soon, this is a work that has not yet been installed, but is on its way very soon. We anticipate probably in June. This is going to be installed in one of these little bays on the south corridor. This is like underneath Rod's office right here. And so it'll be your thing that's in your direct sight line as you're coming from the South Lobby or Great Hall. And this is a work, you might recognize the name Christopher Myers if you've gone through the Contemporary American Art David Booth Gallery recently. He also created a light box that is in the little vestibule area that is off of the gallery that's visible across from the L&E hub of periwinkle. So it's a beautiful, rich red background with a central figure surrounded by periwinkle. And Christopher Myers, we've commissioned him as well to create a mosaic for this major kind of trail that leads you from one side of the museum to the other. Christopher Myers, both with the periwinkle light box and this work, which is entitled Arkansas Testament Rice, he is thinking a lot about our agricultural history, the importance of rice he's thinking about the history of those different, importance of those different histories. Here it is about rice, the importance of it to our economy, to our, producing it on this mass scale, and what that looks like, and what that has provided to, and also cost our state in the production on this scale. So we have here this beautiful mosaic that honors the workers who are part of this history. So we get to see the connection to our natural environment, this major crop, but also thinking about the people that make it happen. And rice is something that is kind kind of universal across all cultures in the way and the food that they eat. So it provides another point of connection, even if you're not familiar right off the bat with Arkansas's own role in the history of rice. So that will be installed in the coming months. Pardon? It will fill this bay. It will not be backlit, it is mosaic, so it is tiles.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so last bit, which we've talked about, that I'll just give some quick examples of, is about approach. So you're absolutely right in that we already have collection art in transitional spaces. These are some great recent examples. Our even recently installed John Quincy C. Smith here, where the bubble was. And this includes some of our favorites we mentioned, the Eat Side, the Jeff Koons, the Kim Dickey flower wall. And here, this is not, of course, it's something we're already doing, and we're just wanting to extend that. We want to, of course, extend the impact of access, bringing more things out of collection, finding other areas that we can include more collection objects that haven't been activated. The little elevator bay outside of the 11 elevator that have all the great dog pictures, that's a great example. That didn't have works in it before, that is now being activated. So we want to think about our mission of access to art, getting things out of storage, and as we expand our campus, we just want to find and activate even more of these spaces with our collection outside of, we can't have commissions everywhere as much as I would like, so we just want to make sure we are good stewards of our collection and get it on view wherever we can. So with that, I wanted to just provide some examples of some recent additions that you may or may not have seen that are good to point out. And the Learning and Engagement Hub, so this is in the Walmart community, Walmart for Good community lounge, as well as the community boardroom. This is a recent gift from Paula Hayes, who you remember is the artist who did Caves and Mines. This is one of her terrariums. This is Laura Pratt's Flight of the Dodo, which is wood and gold leaf, and this beautiful kind of carving. And then in the community boardroom, we have two paintings by Theodoros Doros on the left, and then Classic Boundaries 4 on the right. And so here, these are works that for these works, the Stamos, these have never been on view, so this is an opportunity for us to push ourselves to activate works in our collection that haven't had the chance to be featured, and it also provides a nice conversation here about artistic development and possibility. These are two very different works from the same artist over time as he's kind of developing his final characteristic style. This is very, it's really hard to see, I apologize for that. We'll send out the slides so you can see. Very representational of a fish, and you can kind of see some of the shapes are starting to become more amorphous, but here he's really abandoned representational for more of the fields of color and the, thinking more about abstraction and the plane of the canvas. Here, in these two areas in the community lounge, we wanted to think about works that prime guests for curiosity, to provide opportunities for exploration. In the case of Paula Hayes, to provide a note, it's like, hey, you think this is cool? You should probably head up just a few more feet to see Caves and Mines and get to see these terrariums even closer. And it also fits really well. It's also really sturdy because it's glass, and it can deal with some of that increased light in the space. The Laura Pratt is one of my personal favorites. It has not been on view in a while, and this is also another kind of funky one that provides for some closer exploration and deeper consideration. It has a dodo, and it kind of looks a little bit presidential, or like a seal of some type, but as you look closer, you can see that it is a dodo that is being lifted by a flight of pigeons for its one and only flight. So this provides an opportunity for close looking and looking a little bit deeper into artists' intentions and their hopes for the work, and it's also just a fun work that hasn't really gotten out in a while. So the opportunities that Art Everywhere program provides in this way is very exciting. are two others that are also in the hub area. This is a recent gift from the Humphreys, Woody Diothello's Thought in Mind. Woody Diothello thinks a lot about kind of taking everyday objects out of their traditional context and placing them into almost human-like situations that are new kind of combinations and permutations that make us think a little bit more about our relationship to the objects and how they're being used. And this one was recently repatinated. It looks great. It's ready for being out and in a light-filled space. And it also is, very curious. Right at the outset, it's gonna start some conversations, especially between parents and kids, about what is that? And I do not know what a rotary phone receiver looks like. What is that? So, providing some opportunities for curiosity and conversation. We'll have to draw that in for some of the for future training. Repatinated means so it is bronze, and so when it has a patina added to it, they can match it to different colors. And this work has there's like a series, and it has a few different colors associated with it, but this is how it was most recently presented. And we were able to match the colors to that last presentation, so it looks its best right as it's going on view. And the other one is taking advantage of a favorite of the collection and also in a new space that provides some beautiful light coming in from the oculus is Karen Lamont's dress impression with wrinkled cowl. So this kind of we really wanted to take advantage of the beauty of the architecture and the space here, and also the incoming light from the skylight for this kind of almost this Greek kind of moment that you might see in the Met, this kind of armless beauty, ethereal, kind of almost floating in the space. To really, it takes a work that we've seen a whole lot in different positions and places it in a new context that allows us to really appreciate it and see its beauty in different ways.
Laura?
Yes.
So back to this public art,
Yes.
gallery art kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
So does Karen Lamont, I know she's been outside the galleries before.
Correct.
Does she have to get her permission now to be in public space?
No, yeah, that's a great question. So no. So this is when we own the work. It is, of course, we want to be good stewards, but we are able within those bounds to present it in a safe way. And Karen Lamont actually has a number of works that are inside of gallery, as a matter of fact. In addition to this, just very close by, there is a work from her on the Ore Bridge and another one in the David Booth Gallery. So she's got some representation. It's a nice little connector throughout as well, that you get to see different parts of her work as you walk through the galleries and public spaces. It's stunning. I'm very pleased with how that came together. Thank you. Thank you. I agree. All right. So this last bit was an initiative. We've all seen the dandelion, but we wanted to. We can't. Of course, more is more. So we have to think about how we're presenting everything here. And this was an opportunity to reevaluate how we're showing some of our works and also create a focus moment around a certain artist. So this was led in large part by Anna Robertson, curatorial assistant, curatorial affairs. So do you want to tell us a little bit more about the experience?
Yeah, absolutely. How many know of Harry Bertoia and his work? Okay, so a good solid amount. So Harry Bertoia was a prolific artist during the post-war period. He got his start, he was a protege at a young age, and he was very interested in graphic design. When he was working at Cranbrook Academy in Michigan, he started working in jewelry and metal, and that sort of led to his partnership with Ray and Charles Eames, who were also at Cranbrook with him, and they produced the very iconic Eames chair alongside Harry Bertoia. He later split from the Eames, and he designed these really beautiful ergonomic chairs here that we have and guests can sit in. Your guests are more than welcome to sit and relax. This is a reflection space coming between our lower link gallery and what is now Artland in our studio. I think it is so important to have these chairs in this space because Bertoya would not have been able to do the work that we see in the Dandelion or in Screen Tree without working on these chairs. This bankrolled his ability to build his studio in Pennsylvania and to be able to leave behind this furniture design in favor of something substantially larger scale. So he's working on this very microcosmic into the macrocosmic stage, honoring these very small bits of nature and amplifying them to the sort of spiritual significance that they deserve. You'll see that in the Dandelion, which we've put in brand new, a new plinth to sort of elevate it literally and physically, as well as our Screen Tree, which again serves as just a quiet meditative place to sit in Harry Bertoya's world. He's very inspired by light dancing through trees when he was walking, or if you're driving a car, you see a lot of this sort of like flickering effect. So I think he's done that very, very well in Screen Tree. We also have the addition of a photograph behind Dandelion of its original commissioned space. It was commissioned as an installation in the Denver Hilton in Denver, Colorado. It stayed at this bar for many years until it was bought by Christie's, and then we purchased it later. Yeah, that's Bertoya.
Great, thank you. I think that might be it for me. As you know, as you've seen, more incredible examples of activated collection artwork throughout the museum. Just one part of Art Everywhere, extending our mission of access. And I've been talking for a long time, telling you all about the world of public art, and so that is my time. And I'd love to take any additional questions that you might have about anything we've talked about here or anything we haven't talked about here.